right, guys, it is far too early. What are we at, like 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30.
We don't have caffeine, we don't have nicotine in yet. We're going on an undisclosed mission.
I got nicotine.
Stay tuned for our undisclosed mission of season 1, episode 1.
He started talking to me about Bitcoin, and at the time, well, I don't know what year that would have been, probably like 2013 or 2014. Was Bitcoin even like that popular back then?
It wasn't popular.
Or that's when it was like kind of coming.
Probably when it
was coming around.
Popping, yeah.
So he actually had told Kim and I, he was talking about it. We're having drinks one night, and he's like, "Do you guys know about Bitcoin?" And I was like, "I knew nothing about it." I was like, "No." And he starts telling us about it, and he's like, "I'm telling you guys right now that part of his side gig that he did was he installed Bitcoin ATMs, basically like Bitcoin vending machines or whatever you call them." And he's like, "I'm telling you right now, if you have any money, invest it in Bitcoin and do kind of what you said, just like forget about it, let it sit there." He's like, "I promise you, if you do that, you will make so much money. This is the future." It's like, and he's talking about a fucking digital currency. I'm like, this guy is absolutely whack. Like, I have no idea what this guy's saying. I was a broke university student. There's no way I'm taking any little bit of money I have, putting it towards something that doesn't even make sense or exist.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
100%. So he literally, obviously, had a lot of money invested in Bitcoin. And then the fucking thing shot up. And Kim and I were looking at it one day way back, and it was like, if we would have put like $5,000 into Bitcoin when he told us to, I would have been disgustingly rich. But it's, I mean, there's so many stories like that, but it was just crazy. And then he got grossly rich. Like I remember we looked at him on Facebook a few years back, and he was like so fucking rich. It's literally, he knew, he had the algorithm.
2013, it was about $750 a Bitcoin. So if you invested $5K, you would have had 6.66 Bitcoin. This morning, it was 92,000 a Bitcoin.
Holy fuck.
So that would be $613,000 off a 5K investment.
Now imagine the people that put actual money in.
Yeah,
bro.
if you put like
100K.
You have like 5 mil, 100K,
Whew.
multiple millions.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, baby.
We're doing a little Q&A. We asked you guys to ask us some questions, but first, question that I had and I want us to talk about, what do you think is the upper limit of caffeine per day that starts to get dangerous? Or like, when is too much?
Holy. Dangerous or like good for a person's progress? Because I would call those two very different things.
Yeah, I guess where it starts hindering, let's talk about both, where it starts hindering your progress in fitness or bodybuilding, and then just like, you're probably gonna have long-term repercussions from taking this amount of caffeine.
So for me to answer that question, I don't want to go like scientific, but you look at the half-life of caffeine, it's what, like I think 2.5, no, it's longer than that. What is it again?
I mean, it depends what kind.
Actually, I think, yeah. I guess it really depends on, like, if it's caffeine dimalate, it's totally different. But realistically, I would care more about the amount of times you consume caffeine in a day versus the single serving amount of caffeine, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So if you take 400 milligrams of a pre-workout at 12 p.m., that's not a massive concern for me. But if you wake up and have 2 coffees, and then at 11 a.m., you have an energy drink, and then at 2 p.m., you have an energy drink, and then at 5 p.m., you have 400 mgs of a pre-workout, that's like a gram of caffeine right there.
Guilty.
That's like a gram of caffeine right there. But I think the problem is you've kept yourself in a state of like fight or flight the entire day. You haven't let your parasympathetic nervous system like chill out at all. so you're consistently like hitting the gas on it.
Yeah.
That would be a bigger piece for me, is how often you're consuming caffeine versus like if you have 200 mgs in the morning, have a coffee, and then you have an energy drink pre-workout, or you have a scoop of pre-workout like 400 mgs. That's not the end of the world. Now again, like I used to, well, you've seen it too, and I mean on your plans and whatnot, I used to say try to keep it to like 150 mgs less a day.
Yeah.
And what does that allow people to do? That's just your pre-workout then. And if you don't use pre-workout, like I don't use pre-workout, then you can have your coffees in the morning, and you're allowing yourself to get to that rest and digest state, nutrient assimilation, all that kind of stuff. Recovery is going to be better.
Yeah, I kind of structured the same way, because I mean, and I know you're the same way. With clients, you have to be more strict, knowing that they're going to already push the boundaries.
Yes.
So if I go in and say, just watch your caffeine, keep it under like a gram, there's people that are going to go over a gram. If 100%. I say, keep your caffeine in check, keep it under 150, people are probably going to push to like half a gram.
Yeah.
What's your like thoughts, like in a contest prep, natural or enhanced, do you use it as like a performance enhancing tool, or do you just more so use it to like help people with energy at the end? Like, do you even utilize that in that sense, or how do you play it?
Not a ton. Now in an enhanced athlete, yes, because I look at, and actually I guess realistically, if you're looking at a natural athlete as well, but you have to look at adrenal fatigue, right? If you're hammering your adrenals all the time, well, other stimulants are not going to work in the same way, because you see it with people, right? Somebody that takes 1.5 grams of caffeine per day, when you introduce maybe a fat burner or a stimulant like clenbuterol, albeit they're totally different mechanisms, they're still affecting your adrenals and so forth, so your response will not be as strong. In a perfect world, we want a stronger response from the stimulants that are going to initiate and contribute to fat loss. So I actually have a figure athlete who's starting her prep next week, and about 5 weeks ago, people listening to this might know who I'm talking about. She loves her energy drinks. She absolutely gasses the energy drinks. And about 5 weeks ago, we had a conversation where I said to her, hey, I'd like it if you could limit these to 1 energy drink a day now.
Yeah.
And I explained exactly that, because once I introduce fat burners, which is not going to be off the hop on the prep, but maybe that's 12 weeks, 14, 16 weeks into her prep, when I introduce those things, she'll be a lot more sensitive than if she was continually having 3 to 4 energy drinks a day.
So yeah, I mean, we have very similar opinions. Mine are kind of differing in the end, that I almost use it as like kind of a carrot to hang for the athlete. Like, hey, we're now going to add in a stim pre-workout. It's going to give you that, even the just enjoyment of some of these pre's, like we've all tried them, they taste like candy, and then getting that bump for your session, right? Because
not doing a bump before your session.
A bump of energy for your session to actually perform, right? Because when you're starving yourself, you're not going to be able to perform in the gym the way you want, right? And at the end of the day, caffeine is a very good performance enhancer in that aspect. But like you said, if it's an enhanced athlete, you're playing other stimulants, that's obviously where the risk increases. But definitely, I'd say for sure, natural athletes, that's when I definitely use it. Same thing, try to dial it back at the start of a prep. Near the end, that's where you throw it back in. And I mean, there also is some benefits with just jacking up your heart rate with caffeine that's going to make you expend
I would agree,
more calories than normal.
If you're, so in a natural athlete, for instance, right, yohimbine is allowed to be used, and it's a great fat burner.
So weird still with the whole
the ephedrine yohimbine,
how
it's super
but
weird.
Then you can buy ephedrine here, but it's illegal.
So basically, like, a really good fat burning stack actually is caffeine, yohimbine, and nicotine. Well, I mean, is everybody going to use nicotine? No. Do a lot of people like having a coffee in the morning? Yeah.
Do you ever recommend nicotine?
I used to. I used to actually put it in plans. When I was in a fat burning phase, I used Nicorette. Yeah. But again, I would argue that, and this is where you got to toe the line, because you got to understand what are you doing, right? Like for one, people don't understand that vapes actually have sugars in them. That's why they taste so good.
Yeah.
For me, when I was ripping my vape a ton, I don't vape anymore, but when I was ripping my vape a ton, I don't actually know, is that jacking my blood sugar up through the day? Because when I was checking my blood sugars, it was fasted and I wasn't hitting my vape. I mean, I had, but to what degree? At what point is it starting to actually cause fluctuations?
Yeah.
Right? So I would argue the same thing. If you're taking Nicorette gum in the morning, yeah, maybe it's sugar-free, but is that having an effect on your blood sugar before fasted cardio? So are you better off having just like, well, a Zyn or something, but again, it's flavored. So is there
sugar? Yeah.
Yes, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm not diving down that deep of a dive to figure out how much nicotine in comparison to how much sugars. And it for me, I feel like it's kind of arbitrary at that point. You know what I mean? Like, what benefit are you really getting? Is it that drastic that I need to program nicotine into somebody's diet? Like,
and then also, do you want to program a nicotine addiction into someone's
100%,
life, right? Because at the end of the day, it is addicting.
So one of the questions that I got sent to me here this morning was, do you feel like you have favorite athletes, or do you feel like you treat all athletes the same? Which is a really good question.
It's a super good question, because I mean, we get this a lot, and a lot of people think that we have favorites maybe because we post different people, and I mean, we're obviously very into the competitive side and we get really excited about our competitors. It's a little different for me than you, because I still do have a decent portion of lifestyle athletes as compared to competitors. And this is how it's always going to be for me. If you're a lifestyle athlete and you work with me, you pay the same as my competitors. I don't care if you're a top level pro or you're just someone that wants to lose a little bit of weight. But with that being said, everyone starts off at an equal clean slate. If you stop showing me that you care about your progress, it's really hard for me mentally to care that much about your progress equally, right? If I have people that are showing up day in, day out, whether that's a lifestyle client or a competitor, and they're doing the work, they're giving me every check-in, lots of data to go off of, and that means you shared that post from Mike yesterday.
Yeah.
Just being detailed in your responses, right? If you send a check-in and you say, sleep's bad, it's hard for me to go off of that stuff. So if you provide detail, you're following your plan, and that I never ask for an athlete to be perfect, but if you're putting in that effort, I'm always going to give you the same effort, regardless of if you're one of my athletes that has the potential to go to the Olympia, or again, if you're just a lifestyle athlete that wants to lose a little bit of weight. Everyone's shared equally, and that's kind of my take on it.
I agree with you completely. I think, going back to the favorites thing, for myself, I believe we all have favorites. Now, it goes back to what you said, because I'll tell you straight up right now, I do have favorite athletes, but the favoritism comes from, I like athletes that do what they need to do, that are dedicated to their goals and show up every day to that commitment. So if you do that, the favorites have nothing to do with genetic abilities and stuff like that. Sure, we all love, and nobody can say they're different than this, the athlete that has great genetics. But I'll tell you right now, just because you have good genetics, if you are fucking up every single week, you're not following your plan, you're not going to be my favorite, and you're not going to get the level of attention that somebody with much worse genetics than you, that shows up every single day, checks in on time, all that kind of stuff, right? And I've gotten to a good place now where I don't do late check-ins. If your check-in's late, I won't do it. And 15 minutes is just as bad as 2 hours. So if you're consistently doing that every week, I'll tell you right now, you're not getting the same treatment as somebody whose check-in is there in my inbox the second I wake up every morning to do check-ins, right? So I agree with you completely. I think a lot of it depends on what the athlete gives and how committed they are, because I'm very fortunate I work with all competitors pretty much now. And all competitors are not equal. A lot of people like the idea of competing, but don't like the idea of what being a successful competitor entails. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, the thing is, a lot of those athletes who are not the favorite because of their own decisions and choices. And when you're not the favorite and you're not getting the same effort from me that somebody else is, eventually the relationship will dwindle and you're not going to want to be on my team. And I'm absolutely cool with you leaving, and if you want to talk shit about me, whatever, say what you want. Because at the end of the day, when anybody comes back to me, the reality is you're just not the athlete I want to work with, and the reality is you're never going to beat my athletes or Ty's athletes or anybody on stage when push comes to shove, because you couldn't show up and do what you were being asked to do or told to do, or what you essentially said you wanted to do, if that makes sense. So I believe there are favorites. I believe that not every athlete is treated the same. Now, on an even playing field, if everybody showed up and gave the same effort, everybody would get the same level of detail and attention from me, for sure.
All right, so the next question is, when are the rollies coming?
Well, as you guys may or may not know, Ty and I are actually, it's really cool. We're co-coaching a really good men's physique pro, Kamani. He's a previous Olympian. So we've kind of decided, well, little backstory, we've been looking into getting a Rolex each. Not just because we want a rollie, but I mean, kind of also because we want a rollie, but it's a good investment. So we've been talking about it, looking at them. Ty's been doing a lot of research on them. And we kind of decided that 7 weeks from now, we have Kamani doing his first show of the season, which will be the St. Louis Pro. We're going to head down to St. Louis for. And the goal is to show out and get an Olympia qualification. And when we do that, we're going to buy rollies. Bet?
100% deal. We should kind of dive into that because I've been getting a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, you don't really see it, and lots of people have been asking us, like, with the whole co-coaching thing, is it like I'm doing training, you're doing food, who's doing protocols, what's going on there? Want to kind of explain to everyone how we've been doing that and how it's been working?
For sure. So, I mean, it's literally collaborative on everything. So the nice part about it is we actually have two sets of eyes, and for a lot of people, and I can say, quite frankly, a lot of times it wouldn't work because I've actually tried it in other situations. I have an athlete I'm working with full time now that I was just doing PEDs and advising on that side of things because he had never used any. The other coach was doing food training and so forth, and it's tough when you don't overly see eye to eye on those things, and it's not like what was being done is wrong per se,
and
right?
People don't realize those things go hand in hand. Like you can't make plays with any PEDs, let alone if you're deploying insulin growth hormone and you don't have at least a very good understanding of what's going on food-wise, because that can get really dangerous, and it's also really hard to elicit the kind of response that you want doing that.
100%, and everything changes when PEDs enter the picture, right?
Course,
like a human body is now super physiological, and it's going to have different responses to things.
Ability to certain training volume,
holding more water,
recover,
100%.
Sure.
So going back to that's kind of a little side rant, but Ty and I just do everything collaborative. So we actually look at the check-in pictures together. We're very blessed. We have the gym. Our offices are right beside each other. Sometimes we won't be there and we'll just talk, but we'll look at the check-ins together. We'll say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? And maybe I'm making a small food change, and Ty's like, I think we should be a little more aggressive. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm on board with it as long as we make sure he's not flattening out too much and we have a game plan for it. I'm cool with it. So we make that play. We talk about drug things, like here's what I would normally do, here's what I would do. Okay, why don't we do this, and we'll deploy this, and we'll see what happens here this week. And it's been super collaborative, so it's a lot of fun. And I'm honestly really excited to peak him together too, because I feel like Ty and I do things very similar, and I mean that's why we coach on the same team and do stuff, but we also have different views on certain things. So there might be things that like Ty doesn't think to do, and I'm like, I think we should try this, or vice versa. And he's like, I really think we should try this. And we're both the type of people that we're not against trying new things. Yeah. So I think having both of our eyes and being able to make decisions together is actually going to make a pretty cool thing. And I mean, we see Kamani now, and we posted a sneak peek the other day. Like the guy's looking good, and 7 weeks, believe it or not, is like a little bit of time, but it's also a lot of time. And this is where like the craziest changes will start to happen. And I mean, speaking to his actual prep a little bit, which why not, it's been super unorthodox in terms of like usually you see weight kind of trend down and so forth, and Kamani's in a unique situation where his job is like 7 on, 7 off. He travels up to camp, he works, and he works hard. He's doing like labor and stuff every day, and then he comes home and it's activity changes and whatnot. So we see big fluctuations in weight, and like if all we focused on was the scale's not moving a ton, well, we'd probably be making decisions that are not the best for him. For sure. So by us both having that eye together, and it's like, no, the scale didn't move a ton, but visually this guy's getting better. Why do we have to make decisions just on seeing the scale move? right? And like, I think there's a piece of that ties into him being a very genetically elite individual.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You start putting drugs into play and playing with those tools, he's a genetic outlier. He's going to respond very different than a lot of athletes we've worked with before. So he is somebody that I believe potentially actually maybe, and we kind of see it, is changing for the better from an actual muscularity standpoint through his prep. Right? So
yeah, and I mean, full transparency, when we started this thing together, I was a little skeptical that we would butt heads a little more.
For sure.
And I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some of that as we get closer, but
Yep.
It's been super smooth thus far. It's been cool to kind of do it together. And I mean, I can only speak for me in this. This is definitely the highest level athlete I've worked with, and this is my first true shot at an Olympia qualification, which you've obviously had some cracks at it, but
yeah.
if we could do that together, it just makes it that much more special doing it with one of your best friends, right?
100%. And I mean, for me, it's 100% the highest tier athlete I've ever worked with, because I do work with some pros, but I've never worked with an Olympian. We're talking about somebody who's already been on the Olympia stage, and the goal this year isn't to show up in pro shows and be competitive. The goal is to show up in pro shows and dominate and be a force, so we can step on the Olympia stage and also be a force there. And I mean, we went to the Olympia last year, and when we go to the Olympia, we're not sitting in the stands just watching. We started as bodybuilding fans, and I know we'll always be bodybuilding fans. I'm going to go to as many shows as I possibly can. I always want to go to Olympia. I'd like to start going to the Arnold, those kind of things. But we're sitting there last year in the stands, working with Kamani at this point, and we're talking about, like, there is absolutely no reason that guy can't be up here and be a good athlete up here, not just another guy that made it to the Olympia.
For sure.
So that's kind of our goal now, I think, and we've talked about this, is it's not just like, goal number one is to qualify for the Olympia. You can't look past that first. We have to get there.
Yeah.
But we've also kind of planned things that we have the idea in mind that he's stepping on Olympia stage. So what are we going to do between shows to get there? Because we want him to be good on the Olympia stage too.
Which is so crazy to comprehend. That
So
we're
crazy, man.
close to this point.
It's cool because, I mean, I think every season we've seen it with you, with me, with all of our coaches, right? We take a step up.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the beginning of the season, like, all right, we got some opportunities for pro cards this year, and then it's more opportunities for pro cards. Then it's like you're putting more pros on stage. Now you're putting an Olympian on stage. And I mean, that's the goal for us at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Is to get to a point, and I can speak for myself, but I know I speak for Ty in this too, like, whatever time that is when I no longer am coaching, I want to be at a point that I've sustained multiple Olympians on that stage year after year. And the big push for the coaching comes around October, November, December, when the Olympia's rolling. Like, that to me is the goal, and like, we just got to keep moving towards that, I guess. And this is a huge first step for us. So it's a lot of fun, and like Ty said, doing it with literally my best friend is the coolest thing in the world.
So if you want co-coaching, hit us up.
You have arrived at your destination. Welcome to Calgary.
All right, little side quest. We're in an undisclosed location. What are we doing here?
Picking up some goodies.
We're gonna show you. We got about 29 bricks. Probably shouldn't be showing you this. Highly caffeinated.
World Gym, Sunridge in
It's not
Calgary.
the den.
It ain't the den.
I'll tell you that much.
But hydration's a little off. We were helping at Supplement World all day with the grand opening there. Meal timing's a little off. We're still gonna get them all in though. But hitting a big body part on a day like today is not the best idea. So we're just gonna hit a little bit of a gun run. Everybody likes a gun run. Let's see how pumped we can get these arms. I'm gonna try to get my pump to look half as good as his natty arms.
Here's my setup. I had an energy drink as pre-workout, 200 megs caffeine, 100 grams of carbs from Carbolin, scoop and a half of Big Boy, EAAs, and then as we normally do, timing completely screwed up. We went for our side quest. I drank another energy drink, and I have the same pre-workout meal drink, so we'll see how this goes. Should be able to get a pump.
So anything he said about caffeine on the way up, do as we say, not as we do.
Completely disregard. We're retired. We can do whatever we want now.
Except not me. Caffeine scares the shit out of me. That's a dangerous drug. We kick this guy off? What?
We'll find one.
Fuck, bro. Classic Physique Pro. Sorry. We still doing lots of posing? Nice. Good.
Two wannabes, me and Braden.
We might get back up there in 2025. We'll see. Maybe 2025. We'll see. For now, we're just bodybuilding for what we like it for. Training, eating. Lots of clients. Got to focus on them first, you know. Same thing.
Same thing. Just need to be bigger if I'm just doing bodybuilding and not classic. I gotta.
That's the thing, right?
230 on stage, right?
We're like, I gotta max out at least the heavyweight class because I'm tall. Like I'm 5'9". For bodybuilding, that's tall. But if I'm not 230-ish on stage, same thing. It's just, I'll get beat by guys that are shorter than me, you know? So, yeah. But on the same breath, like, I don't really want to push to be a super just because health and stuff with my heart and everything. So just got to be smart.
It's more dangerous every marker you hit, right?
Yeah.
250, 260, 270.
There's got to be a limit, which we've definitely already kind of pushed the limits. So it's like, how much further do you want to push it, right? I ain't going to do this forever. I love it. I wish I could. But I'm not young anymore. So it's one of those things, man. But yeah, you know what it's about, bro. Oh, the elbow. Got a little bit of an elbow injury slash forearm injury we're working through, so
it's all about that.
Just got to get about 4 sets before I stop feeling it, and we're good.
I'm gonna get swollen, man. Little pump ski.
Sponsored by World Canada. Get over there now.
It's good. So, I explained to you guys what I was doing with my kind of mishap with having my pre-workout meal drink and then having to redo it with another energy drink, another 100-gram carb drink. Right now, how I'm feeling is about 2 things that could possibly happen. I'm either gonna shit my pants during this workout, or I'm gonna get the best pump of my life, or I'm gonna get the best pump of my life and then shit my pants in the workout, which that one I'm finding.
I heard holding the shit in is anabolic as fuck.
You know, they throwin' salt on my name. Ooh, they let it throw shake.
Come on.
Young nigga pay, family straight.
Yep.
Come on. More.
Let's just track. Nothing but average. A far above that shit. Simple and plain. Bottom when it's sunny, but I keep some cheddar stack for the rain. Yeah, I keep some cheddar stack for the rain. Say it with some fees and they all on my team. Rollin' my lap, pouring my drink. Team meet you, everybody at the table. They came a long way from that bootleg tape. Never be losing, that ain't no way. My homie just died and they cried for days.
Yep.
Tomorrow ain't promise, I put that on my mama. Ask me what I'm doing, just grinding. Haters when I ain't let them, ain't never mind them. Be more bins, try to reach the next plateau.
Go again.
And I can't stop till I achieve my goal.
Go again. Come on. So this is a movement you want to stay pretty strict with. Keep the elbow behind the body. Trains the length and position of the bicep.
Fucking nerd.
It's weird, eh? I need like a seatbelt on this thing, fuck.
Handicap bus always needs a seatbelt.
Awkwardly shimmying around.
That's awkward. I don't like that thing. Thing is ass. Come on. Come on. Yes.
Last like 5 roll you. Booked. I'll take
How's
it.
your shoulder feel doing that?
Not the best, not the worst.
Does it feel better holding it
what
like
if-
you did?
What if a bunch of these broccoli heads, how many of them could gang up and beat us?
Fuck, man. This thing is absolute ass. Woo.
Come on. Come on. Good. Come on. Nice. A few more. Let's go. Come on. Yep. Good. Come on. Good. Come on. Good. Let's go. Yeah. Come on. Push. Good. Come on. Good. Good. Come on. Yep. Come on. More. Come on. Good. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. More. Come on. Let's go. Come on, a few more. Yep. More. Come on. Up.
One more each.
Come on. Yeah.
Good. Attaboy. Good. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh boy. Come on. Come on. No.
All I know is get paper. All I do is shit major. Bought a condo on the top floor and the building's a skyscraper. Feeling like I'm Kobe, LeBron for the Lakers. Feeling like I'm Idris, Paul Walker, Taker. New Rollie, no diamonds in it. New Porsche, all dimes in it. I'm infatuated with fine women. Corona extra with the lime in it. Just a shapes to Henny. Used to be a penny pincher. Now I'm in plenty business. Grind hard, nigga.
All right, guys. That's basically a wrap. As you can see, our sponsors hit us up, said come by, grab your stuff, so we had to pop in. Keep it real, Chipotle. Thank you for taking care of the boys always.
To all of our clients, this is not an adequate replacement for a meal.
Yeah.
We can do what we want because we're retired, maybe.
Free meal?
If you liked our video, give it a like. If we hit 1,000 views, we'll make another one. What do you think?
100%.
Good goal?
Yeah, man. Let's do it. We'll make episode 2 of season 1 if we hit 1,000 views.
Thanks for checking in with the Gyno Bros. Peace
See you
out.
never. Gyno Bros out.